Hi everyone, welcome back again to this session. I hope you all have already practiced whatever we have learned yesterday. That's very important. You need to get started with your Selenium. If you only get started, you can ask all these doubts. Otherwise, you won't get any doubts. So please practice. That's very important. This might be your last chance to learn Selenium. Okay. Uh, if you're not going to learn this time, maybe it will be really difficult. Yes. Okay. So, we have learned about how we can find elements using ID, name, and then, we retrieved some text and all that. But today we'll get into some interesting topic called XPath, other attributes, how we can find elements on the web page. Yeah. So let's go back to what we have done. And one important thing that we want to highlight is so far we have understood how we can use ID to find an element, name to find an element. But there are also other ways. I'll tell you what are those ways and we'll see about them in detail. So now let's go back and yeah, before that, guys, I yesterday I have shown a page to download the Selenium standalone jar. So I have done like this, and the problem is I went here and if you download this, it seems it's downloading a bunch of jar files. Okay, so even if that's the case, you can also add all these things to the you know you can go to the project structure, and you can also go to uh, you can click on this, click on jars, and if you have multiple jars also, you can select them. Okay, if you select multiple jars, this particular jar that I am using is a combination of all those jars. Okay, if you even get a jar something like this, you're getting multiple jars. So if you notice, this is the you know jar files that I downloaded, and the jar files will be here. Okay, so if you get these many jars instead of one single jar, you can also select all of them. Okay, using Control Shift, you can select all of them and click on OK. Okay, so you can either have that one Selenium standalone jar or this whole jar. Okay, anything is fine. Okay, no, but the correct places, you can always go to the mavenrepository.com and you can search for Selenium-Java. Okay, and then you can download this particular jar as well. Okay, yeah, anything that seems fine for you, you can do that. Okay.
What is the difference between standalone jar and the Selenium Java?
Standalone jar has some other packages as well that you might be really needing. Apart from that, you don't need to be worrying about this. But the thing is, we are not going to use jar files anymore, right? Jar files are really confusing. We will see how we can use Maven dependencies, and we can get away with. Sometimes people let's say I'll give you one example. Okay, you can. Okay, if you have to download 10 jar files, okay, you have to download 10 jar files, and if you want to update this, okay, the version is getting changed, you want to update to the latest version, or you want to export this project so that your friend can use this. Okay, in all those cases, maintaining a lot of jar files. See, we are just started with Selenium, and most probably you will end up with 10 to 15 jar files. Okay, so to create a test automation framework, you might be needing hundreds or thousands of them. So that's the problem. So we are not going to use jar files anymore. We are going to move to Maven. So all your issues will be fixed at that point of time. So just be little patient. So I'll cover that. Yeah. So you don't have to really worry about the jar files for now. Yeah. It will be automatically taken care by Maven. Okay. Good. Let's get back to what we are doing yesterday. So yesterday we find using name and ID. Today we'll find using some other ways. So what are the other ways that are available? So to do that, I'm gonna do a driver dot find element. Okay, by dot. Okay, you'll get all the options. So if you notice in the list, it has string. Okay, you have found using ID. There is also tag name. There is also link text. There is also partial link text, XPath, class name, CSS selector. So there are different ways, right? So almost 3, 6, and 8 ways, and we have only covered 2 ways. So let's see how we can do the link text. Okay. So link text will be really helpful if you want to select a element that is a link, okay, having some text. For example, in this page, you can clearly notice this forgot your password is a link. Okay. To confirm whether it is actually a link, you can go inside this and you can see if there is a tag name called a. Okay, guys, whatever you see here in the first row, that is of some, I don't know what color it is, but some kind of a violet or pinkish. Yeah. So this particular color is called as a tag name. So this element is having a tag name of a. That means most probably it will be a link. Okay. And it's also having a href attribute, which is means this is the index.php file that it will navigate to us on clicking it. So if I click on this, it's actually taking you here. Okay. So if I, you know, if I give this as a text here, people might get confused. So the text is this, at underneath that the link it will navigate to, the URL that it will navigate to is request password reset code auth or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, so now the link text is forgot your password. So I can copy this. This is the link text, right? So I can copy this and I can try to find this and dot click. Okay. So I don't want to do this because it'll take me to the next page. So I'm not doing this validation. So for now, if you want to comment, you can select all these things. And I don't know whether you have option to comment from here, uh, but you can also comment using a shortcut because I always use a shortcut, the control shift and slash. Okay. So the shortcut to comment is control shift plus slash. Okay, so that this won't be executed. So it will try to find the forgot your password dot click and then driver dot close. Again, the execution will be really fast, so I don't want to miss check whether it is navigating to the next page. So what I can do, I can put thread dot sleep 5000 seconds. What this means, it means after clicking on this, you wait for 5000 milliseconds, which means 5 seconds. Okay, now this is a kind of exception, so you just need to hover your mouse over this and then throw the exception. Okay, just for now we will do this. Later we'll understand what is exception and all that, but for now just hover your mouse and add a signature so that it throws interrupted exception. Okay, now let's try to run the test and see what's happening. Okay, now it clicked on the forgot password, so it's waiting for five seconds before it closing your browser. Okay, so that's the power of that thread dot sleep, but it's not a good idea to use thread dot sleep, but for now learning purpose we are using it. Okay, there are other ways, we'll learn that soon. Good. So the same way you have something called as partial link text. Okay, partial link text, which means today it's forgot your password, tomorrow it may be reset password. So you just want to have like the contains or something like that. So you can mention only half of the word. So it's of partial. So this is a full text and this is partial text, right? This is also partial and this can be also partial text, right? So you can give some partial text and try to click on it. In my case, I'm using password question mark. So let's see whether it is clicking again. Yeah, so it is also clicking it. So this is the use of by link text and by partial link text. So there are multiple ways to find an element: ID, name, and then we also learned about link text, and we also learned about, sorry guys, partial link text. Okay. So after that, you also have something called as class names and tag names. But before going there, we want to understand what is XPath. Okay. So XPaths are really important, guys. So these four, you cannot use it very often. Okay. So sometimes the IDs might not be there, name will not be there, or it cannot be a link all the time. Even if it is a link, the text may be same. So it will be really hard for you to use these four. So there are two things called as XPath and CSS, which is quite famous. So we're going to learn one of them now. So this is one of the important skill in Selenium. If you know how to write proper XPath, you are almost 90% done with your Selenium. Okay, so we're going to learn this detail now. So just give a lot of focus. Okay. Okay, so now imagine a situation that you have a class with a lot of students, and all the students have almost same names. So you cannot differentiate them based on your names or IDs. They don't have real IDs because you are still new. Your school doesn't given you any IDs so far. So you are relatively new, and you are all looking same. You don't have real names. So how will I find you? Okay, maybe the school started just 2 days back, and you all sit in a same position every day. So you can identify someone based upon their position, right? So even here, if you notice, the elements in this web page are positioned in some way that you can relatively identify them. So for example, the logo is on the top, right? So the logo is somewhere on the top, and it is above the username, right? So you can imagine a web element or find a web element based upon its location, right? That's what I'm saying to say. So the username is relatively on top of your password. The same way the login button is beneath the username and password, right? So this is how you can basically identify an element based on its location. But we need to make sure this is for our naked eyes, but in a HTML DOM, it also present in the same way. So we're going to find out an element based upon its location, not on its name, not on its ID, not on any of other properties. We're going to find the element based on its location in the DOM. Okay, so when I mean DOM, so whatever the HTML they have written here, that's called as DOM. So what I'm going to do, so first let's try to find this username, okay, with the help of XPath. Okay, so let's open some notepad. I need some notepad here. So what I'm going to do, that we're going to learn about XPath, and there are two kinds of XPath. One is absolute XPath and relative XPath. So first we're going to see about absolute XPath. Okay, good. So now we're going to find this particular username based on the location. Let's assume it does not have a name or ID or whatever whatsoever. Okay, it doesn't have anything, so we have to find it based on the location. Let's assume like this. Okay, so in this particular thing, you just click somewhere. Okay, you just click somewhere and press Control and F. Okay, Control F means control find. So if you notice, there is a small text box coming here that says find by string, selector, or XPath. So we're gonna use XPath for now to find the elements. Okay. Okay. First, this is a top one, the HTML. Everything is top, started here. So let's put that HTML. Okay. So notice it's highlighting. Okay. And also in the right hand side, it will tell how many HTML tags are there and what is it is highlighting currently. So there is one. So this is now actually searching. So when I press enter, it's basically highlights the second one, highlights the third one, okay, highlights the fourth one, highlights the fifth one. So this basically finding with the help of string. Okay, if you notice, I can just find a thing based on string. Suppose there is login panel, I can copy it, I can put it here, I can find it based on the string. So this is a string, this is not an XPath. So but I want to write an XPath to find it. Okay, so first I'll write HTML. Okay, HTML slash. Now inside HTML there is, so if I have to go here, I need to go one by step by step. Okay, imagine that you want to come to my place. Okay, if you want to come to my place, I'll give you a location. Okay, just come to Chennai, you pick this bus and land in somewhere near Trichy, and then take another bus, come here, right? So same way, it's like this. Okay, first you are inside HTML, you get into the body. Okay, you get into the body. After getting into the body, so if you notice, this particular tag, the div tag is expanded. Okay, so if it's pointing downwards, it means it is expanded. So you're going one step down now. Okay, and then there is another div tag that is expanded. Okay, this is the relatively next div tag. So this is a child. So when I put slash, which means this body tag is a child of HTML tag. Okay, when I put slash div, which means this div tag is a child of body tag, and this div tag is a grandchild of this HTML tag. Okay, so that's how it is. So when I put one single slash, you need to understand one single slash means it's one level down. One level down. You can imagine that's a parent child relationship. Okay, good. Now I also need to get into this particular div because inside that div only it's there. Okay, so let's do a little bit of maximize. Yes, you can. So yeah, so what you can do, you can, guys, please go on mute and switch off your camera, please. So I'm just going one side down now. Okay, so now I'm here. Okay, inside this I need to get in. See, there are a lot of childs for this. Okay, if you notice, there are a lot of childs. Okay, there is one link child with the tag name of link. There is second child whose a name of div, and third child whose tag name is div. Fourth child tag name div. Fifth child, sixth child, seventh child. So it has a lot of childs. Okay, a parent can have many childs, right? So yeah, there can be a lot of childs, but what I am interested is in this particular child, because inside this particular child only this particular username is present. Okay, so I need to get inside it. Okay, what is the tag name? So the tag name is div. Okay, the tag name is div. uh, Tag name is div, but if you notice, it's not coming here. Okay, it is highlighting this one, and it's telling it's one of six. Okay, hey, whatever the XPath that you wrote, I can find six childs. Okay, I can find six childs for this div tag. Okay, what child you are interested, it's telling like this. Okay, if you press enter here, it will highlight one by one what are those. Okay, see, it's highlighting in yellow color. So 3 of 6. It's the third child of 6 1, fourth child, fifth child, sixth child. Okay, but all I am interested is in this one, right? So that's which child, div of this, div of 1, div of 2, div of 3. So this is div of third child. Okay, so now I want to get inside this, and this is also having multiple childs. So one div, two div, but I'm interested in the second div. So how I should write, slash div 2. Okay, good. Now I am getting inside this. Now there is, where is, so this is a username. I need to come here, right? So now I also need to come to this particular div. So slash again div, but I want to get inside the second div. Yeah, you can go here, and inside this there is a tag called farm. I need to get inside farm. So as long as you are seeing one of one, that means it is only one. So you are good. So after getting into this, I'm expanding. So it has multiple childs. Okay, but I am interested in this particular div child. So div. So this is highlighting this one. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the next child. So I can put div of 2, second div. Okay, and I want to go inside this, and there is two childs. One is input child, one is span child. I want to get inside span child. So now this basically, or maybe you can, so we can use input to click on it. Okay, so this is the one that we used, right? We used id as text username, name as text username. So this is the XPath that we have written to identify this element. Okay, so instead of previously we wrote by.id. Okay, this username, you can use XPath and mention this XPath. Okay, dot send keys admin. Let's see whether it is working before I try to ask your questions and answer them. Okay, so this is also working now. So if you notice, it clicked on admin and all that. Yeah, good. So this is fine. Now, what is the problem with this approach? This approach is really problematic because if you go to a website like Amazon, it has a very lengthy website. So if you want to find some element at the bottom of the screen, you need to write almost, you need to spend your entire month in finding one expert. So you cannot do that, right? So how will we can write a more effective expert? Okay. So in real world, let's assume, you are coming from say Bangalore to Chennai. Okay, and you want to come to my home. No, I'll tell you exact address, address and how to, you have to come here. but assume that you are already been to Chennai. Okay, so I don't have to mention that you need to, how you want to come from Bangalore to Chennai, because you've already done that and you will take care of yourself, right? So in those cases, I don't really have to bother about it, right? Good. So in those cases, okay, the problem with this approach is it's really lengthy. The absolute XPath is lengthy, and it's also error prone because you are tend to make mistakes. And if tomorrow your written XPath like this, tomorrow what they have done, instead of this particular div, they insert a new div. Okay, instead of this logo, they inserted one more logo, something like this. Okay, an offer coming soon, whatever, something like that they introduced. So your XPath will change. Okay, whatever the lengthy XPath that you have written now have to be changed like this, something like this. Okay, so maybe like this. So in those cases it might not work. Maybe the div 2 can become div 3. Okay, so you are not uh, sure how. There are a lot of chances there can be a change in between these, so it will affect your XPath. So this is possible in a live website, right? So it is not reliable. Okay, and yeah, so what is the best way to find an XPath? Okay, you can find an XPath relatively. For example, you assume that you want to write an XPath from this form login, because you are sure whatever the changes that are happening, there can be changes happening on top of it. Okay, but inside this login form, there I think there shouldn't be any change, because username password is what we need in the login form. What they're going to change in that? Okay, so now I am thinking about finding the location of this username from this form. Okay, not from the HTML top top of the node. Okay, so I'm trying to find it from here. Okay, let's try to write it. Okay, now what I'm doing, so instead of previously we used single slash, now we're going to use a double slash, which indicates, hey, go and look for something called as form. See, there are two form, it seems. Okay, there is one that is highlighting now. Let's see whether there is one more. So there is open ID form, there is something other thing like this. Okay, so there are two forms now. Okay, but I want to find the first one, so I'm using the first one. Okay, now inside this I want to find the div username, right? So I can go div, and inside this I have to go to the second div, because that's where the username is. And inside this there is an input tag which I'm interested in. Okay, so now this is what I want, correct? So let's copy this. So it's also telling one, not one of one, so which means this is correct. So it can uniquely identify this element. And let's replace this. Hey, there is no by dot absolute XPath, by dot relative XPath. Everything is XPath. That's it, guys. Okay. So now with this is done, let's see whether it is entering admin in the username field. So it's also entering now. So this is working absolutely fine. So yeah. So what else we could do with this? Okay. Imagine that you have written XPath like this and all, it's fine. But again, sometimes you don't even have to start from form. You can directly start here. Okay, and then start using your name. Okay, for example, you want to, find whether the text is username, the form hint is username, and you want to find this on top of it. Okay, so maybe like that. So basically, we have understood what is absolute, what is relative XPath. We have also understood that we are not starting from the root node. Okay, we are not starting from root, that is your HTML tag. Okay, that is your HTML. We'll start in between. Okay, now there is a syntax for HTML. So this is a syntax. You put double slashes or slashes based upon your needs, and the tag name at the rate. Okay, attribute equal to value. So this is a simple, XPath expression. Guys, let me stop here and then ask if you guys have any doubts before we proceed further. Any doubts so far?
No.
Okay, good. Anyone else has any doubts? Guys, it's very important to understand. So this div is the parent. Okay, whatever is inside this are all childs of this. Okay, if this is a child of this, this is a child of this, then form is a grandchild of this div, right? So you need to understand all these things, right? So that's very important. Good. Let me go back again. So previously we used only this particular thing because see, we have used only slashes and then the tag name to find it, right? So if you go and check our XPath, we have only used tag names and indexes and to find our XPaths, right? But this might not be always, or satisfactory. At the time, you also need to additionally add few parameters. Okay. Yeah, I have started the recording. Yeah. Okay. So, so this might not be always enough to find an element uniquely. So all our intention was to find an element uniquely. Sometimes it's not possible. In those cases, what you can do, you can add additional attributes to validate them. Okay. For example, so the same username can also be written like this. Okay. So for the username itself, you can write multiple experts. So what you can do, you can basically also start from here. So what I'm doing, I'm putting Control F, and so having an ID of this, right? So the syntax is double slash. Okay. So if you notice, we'll type it here. Okay, double slash. What is the tag name for this? Okay, the tag name is div, right? So the tag name is div, and then I need to open brackets, the square brackets, and at the rate attribute. What is an attribute? Okay. You can ID is an attribute, class is an attribute, everything is an attribute here. So maybe instead of ID, I'm going to use class now. Okay, at the rate class, the attribute name. Okay, you can say it's attribute name or attribute whatever. So attribute name is class here, equal to what is the value. So the value is basically this. Copy it, paste it. So this is an XPath. Okay, so let's try to put this XPath in the search box and see whether it is finding it. Yeah. So if you notice, this is finding two of them. So one is this and one more is this. So there is two things. Okay. So this is two things, right? I cannot find it. So maybe I'm interested in the first one. Either you can use index or you can find the next element. Okay. For example, I am going one step down and trying to find an input box. Okay. Sorry guys, I'm editing the HTML. So input. So if you notice, there is also input here as well, right? So there is still showing one of two, and this is the place where my tag name is not sufficient. I need to add this particular thing. This is not mandatory parameter. This is an optional stuff. Okay, optional XPath stuff. Okay, this is an optional to find your element uniquely. In this case, exactly in this case, if you notice, there are two inputs. Okay, still one of two. If I write this XPath, it will like, first let's copy this. So there is two things. Okay, let's try to put this and see what's happening. Okay, let's remove all this. Okay, I don't want to do all these things. uh, let's remove all this, and instead of that particular X path, I am putting this. Okay, can anyone guess what will happen, where it will send admin?
For the first one,
Okay, why there is two things, right? There are two things. Okay, I'm thinking whether it will enter admin here as well, because it's matching two nodes, right? Anyone wants to make a guess what it will happen?
It will throw error.
Okay, good. What other you are thinking about? So there are two matches. Okay, you could find two things. What will happen?
It might put the values in both the input columns.
Okay. So we have mixed views. That's really good. And let's see what's happening. Okay, let's see what's happening. Let's go here and try to run it. See, guys, this kind of guesses are really important. Okay, you need to at least we can understand that you are listening very keenly, and trying to understand what will happen. So if you notice, it has only entered it on username, and it hasn't entered on the password. So whenever there are multiple elements, okay, whenever there are multiple elements that is matching your XPaths or your locators, in those cases it will act on the first element on the top of the node. So which means whenever you're finding two things, the one of two, one of 10, or one of 100, it'll try to act on the first element by default. So that's the behavior that Selenium have configured. Okay, this behavior is configurable, and they have configured in such a way that you have multiple elements matching a locating strategy. It'll work only on the first element. Okay, so good. So, but in my case, let's assume I want to enter password, not the, not here. I want to find password uniquely. Okay. So in those cases, you can add the optional parameters, right? This is the optional ones I told. Okay. Attribute name equal to value. So let's put square brackets. And what is the attribute that I could think about? Okay. I can use at the rate. Okay. Type. Okay. Let's assume we don't have name and ID, because name and ID is that you directly use it because that will be unique. You can directly find it. But here it is not there. So I'm using at the rate type. Type is also an attribute, right? You can copy it, you can paste it. So now if you notice, this becomes one of one, which means if I enter this thing, it will enter the admin in the password field. So this optional, the square brackets thing is optional, but it helps you to identify the element very uniquely. Again, let's imagine you also have one of two again showing. So even the type password, there is two things. Then what will you do? Okay, you can also add more things. Okay, I can put and means I want to add one more attribute at the rate auto complete equal to off. So if you notice, you can also add multiple attributes as well. So for an element, it's not that you have to use only like this. The full form can also extend. I can also add and. Okay, and at the rate attribute name 2. You can also use second attribute and then the value of that particular second attribute. Okay, and it's not only, this and means this value and this value needs to match. Okay, but there is also something called as R, which you can use, whether it will check whether this is there or this is there. Okay, either one. If any one of them matches, so for example, I'm using on. Okay, this is failing. This is not finding anything because it could not find an input tag with these two things. Okay, but if I put an on R here, it'll it'll find it because this type equal to password is already there, but the autocomplete is off. I'm not bothered about it, either this or that. Okay, anything is fine. So this is how you can use XPaths with or with multiple attributes as well. So that's really good, right? So now we have understood a lot of things. Okay, we have understood how to write XPath, how to use attributes, but this is not the whole and end of it. Okay, you have a lot of other use cases as well. For example, what I want to do, uh, I have a case uh, where I want to find the username. Okay, uh, based on this particular one. Okay, or let's assume you want to find this login button based on this forgot your password. Okay, because this login button can be sometime login, sometime it can be submit, some it can be enter, something it be. Okay, so it is not reliable. The text keep on changing. Okay, you cannot use it. Okay, in those cases, you can also use certain things in XPath. Okay, okay, let's go and let's try to click on further power. So guys, we have only seen from top to down. Okay, whether from farm we came down, but in XPath we can also go from bottom to top. Okay, we'll also going to learn that now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to find this forgot password, and from forgot password I want to find the login. So that's our goal. So where the login is here, your login is, the input is here, but you have this forgot password here. Okay, previously we find the forgot password using you know link text, but this time we are not going to use link text. We are going to use text. Okay, good. So this particular syntax is slightly changed. okay, for text, if you want to use text. Okay, in text you can just mention text. Okay, so text open brackets close brackets, because text is a method in XPath, so that can help you to find an element using text method. Okay, so for example, we're going to find the forgot password link, driver dot find elements by dot XPath, and here I want to find using text, right? So what I can do, so this is the syntax. Okay, I'm following the syntax. So what is the tag name for that? Tag name is A. Again, guys, this tag name has a lot of meaning. Okay, if the tag name is A, it will be most probably a link. Okay, this also you have to understand. Tag name is A, it will be most probably a link. Okay, if the tag name is button, it can be most probably a button. Okay, and then you also have input, which means tag name input means it's a text box. Okay, so these are all some of the things that you can link. And there is also tag names with tables, which means it's a web table. You have information in form of rows and columns. Okay, you can also have tr, which means it's a row in a table. It's a row in a table. You have td, which means it's a column in, it represents a column in a table. Okay, based on this you can find. Okay, these are pretty common conventions. Okay, we can assume if there is a tag, it means it's a link. Okay, good. Now we'll come back to the business what we are doing. So we have to find this particular forgot your password based on the text. So the syntax is slash slash tag name is a, and I need to put text like this, and I need to add forgot your password. So now I need to also close the bracket. Okay, I am following this particular syntax. Okay, just copy it and then put it here, find, and it's matching. Okay, as long as it can find it here, it will definitely find it in the code. Okay, so I'm just using this particular syntax and dot click. Okay, so let's see whether this is clicking this. So we are just trying to find an XPath using text. Once we are done with this, we're going to find the login button based on this. Okay, so yeah, it's clicking and it's working fine. Now what I'm going to do, as I already told, we're going to find this uh, login button based on that. So not this one, I'll go here. Yeah, so I need to so if you notice, this is located here and this login button is located here. Okay, so it seems you need to go to your parent, your grandparent, and then you need to choose the first child. Okay, it seems it's your uncle's son. Okay, this a and input is like a cousins, right? So it's like that. So I need to go to parents, grandparent, and then or maybe it's like uncle, right? So the div and input are siblings. They're all child of div. Okay, so it seems it's an uncle. Okay, a a has to call input as an uncle, right? So yeah, so let's find. Okay, so I need to want to go to my parent. Okay, so to go to parent, you can add slash and put double dot, which means it will go one level up or it will find your parent. So okay, and then I also want to go to the parent of div. Okay, this particular div, I want to find this div, right? Slash dot dot. Okay, now I went there. Now I need to find this guy. Okay, so I can just put input. Okay, so now if you notice, we have started our XPath from here, and from here we found our login. So as long as this particular relationship between A and input is maintained, that is uncle relationship, your XPath going to work. So we are not using any attributes here, because assume that you don't have any unique attributes here. Okay, but for now here we have IDs button login, so you can directly use it. But this is a use case that that can happen in real time, that you may not have a real ID or something that you can find it uniquely. So at the time, you can find from relative to another element. Okay, so how to go to your parent? You can put slash double dots and slash double dots. So for each level, you need to put one slash and one double dot. Okay, and also it's not like you have to always mention dot dot. Most people won't understand or it's not readable. So in those cases, Let's say this is my XPath. I want to find my parent. You can also type parent colon. You need to mention the tag name. So what is the tag name? Tag name is div, right? So now it's finding. So you can also mention uh, slash parent colon tag name. Again, if you could not find it uniquely, you can add these optional parameters as well. So let's assume it's not highlighting properly. At the time, we can also add the additional parameters, that is at the rate ID equal to. So your at the rate attribute equal to value is additional. Okay, it's additional optional. Okay, but in my case, this is not needed because I can just find it with the help of div. Okay, otherwise you can also add it. Okay, now I am removing it. I want to find my parent again, parent colon div. Okay, that's fine. So we are here, and I want to go one step down. For going down, it's very simple. You have to put a slash and then mention the tag name. Okay, again, if this is not identified uniquely, you can also add additional attributes, whatever you want. Okay, this is the additional attribute syntax. Okay, you can add it whenever you need it. Okay, so that's how you can find an element based on relative to another element. But if notice, parent div is fine, but you can also mention it's a grandparent, right? So this particular div is a grandparent of this div, the A, right? So in this case, there is something called as, there is no grandparent. So what you have to mention, ancestor. Okay, ancestor colon div. It's very simple English, right? But if you notice, there are 7 divs, right? So there are 1 of 7. Okay, so it has a lot of ancestors with tag name as div, right? So what I'm interested, okay, I'm interested in, let's say, 7th one. So this is the 7th one. Oh, so which means it'll go in the reverse way. So the nearest ancestor will be the first index. So that's you need to understand. So this is my nearest ancestor. I don't need this. I want to go here. So your parent is also your ancestor, right? So it's also highlighting this, but I want to go here. Okay, the 2 levels. So I can put div of 2. Good. This is also done. So now I can also put a slash and then find input. Okay. This is also another way how I can write this XPath. Okay, so parent, you understood what it is. Ancestor also you can understand what it is. So this is parent and this is ancestor. Okay, this is also done. So what else we have? So is it's not always that you need to go to ancestor and then come to parent. Okay, you can also have a sibling relationship. Okay, for example, here I go to my parent. Okay, I go to my parent, and also if you notice, this div and input are in same line. They are all inside div tag, which means these two are siblings, right? They are siblings to the same parent. Okay, so what you can do, you can, so this sibling is a younger sibling. So this guy on the top is the elder sibling. So what you can do, you can write and find based on sibling slash. Okay, this guy is a preceding sibling, right? So not elder sibling, we don't have it here. So this guy is a preceding sibling. Okay, preceding hyphen sibling colon. Okay, and you get your input tag. So if you notice, this parent, I'm finding his brother using preceding sibling colon input, right? So you can also use the same thing with preceding sibling, right? This is how it is. And there is also a way to use following sibling. So following hyphen sibling, which means the younger sibling. Okay, so let's say I want to find this forgot password link from here. Okay, let's put, so this having an IDS login. So what I can do, slash and input is the tag and at the rate ID equal to. So now I'm here. So I from login button, I want to find the forgot password. So in that case, okay, I can put directly following hyphen sibling colon div. Okay, so you're finding at this, and if I want to go to the a tag, that is one step down, so I can put like this. Okay, good guys. So now these are all the stuff that you can have to learn. And sometimes, okay, I'm not interested. Okay, tomorrow if they are changing this div tag to some other tag, okay, they're not going to change it, but sometimes they change. Okay, so instead of you mentioning the tag name yourself, okay, tag name yourself, sometimes you are not really bothered about what is the tag name. Okay, all you are interested is this, and you can find your things based on this. You're not interested in tag name. In those cases, there is a wildcard that you can use. Instead of tag name, you can put star, which means the tag name can be anything. So for example, here the tag name is input. I'm not bothered about whether it is input or not. In that case, I can put a star. The XPath is still working because, if it will also work if I change this to div tag. Okay, okay, so if you notice, I have changed the edited the tag and still it could find it because I've used star. So now if I change it to input, it won't find because the tag name is no more an input. Okay, so I'm just changing it to div back, or I actually need to change it to star so that it can work even if I change this to input back again. Okay, so wherever you're using tag name, okay, here also you can use instead of colon colon div. Just a minute, yes, sorry guys. So yeah, so yeah, this is how, instead of this particular div also you can maintain star. So which means you are not interested whether this particular thing is a div or an input, okay, or an a or whatever. Okay, it doesn't matter, so it's still gonna work. Okay, so you can also use wildcard in terms of XPath. Okay, good. So that's all about XPath. It is almost covers everything, but there are still small deviations that we can learn. But for now, if you can understand till now, that's more than enough. Yes. Any doubts so far?
So once if we write dot dot means that is parent.
Yes, exactly. One level parent.
Mhm. Child means like that.
No,
Do
you
we
don't
have?
have anything. So child, for child, you can just mention a slash and then whatever the tag name. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
So there are like so many ways, right? So which one is the most used? And because it is hard to remember.
So Ashwin, like, it's a really good question, but uh, let's say, um, you'll get used to it, right? Whatever the style that suits you, you start with that. Okay, either you only use, you don't use the following sibling or preceding sibling. Okay, you just use a parent. Okay, parent and ancestors and slash and double slashes. That's more than enough, right? And
Okay.
as long as you can find an element uniquely, that's what it matters, right? And
Mhm.
most importantly, try to have a relative XPath that's very close to the element. Okay, for you want to try to find forget your password, then maybe start from here and then find it, so that the changes that gonna happen in between these two elements is really really rare, right? And are not going to happen at all. So you write an XPath in a way that it's more stable. Okay, that's very important. Whatever the approach you follow, that doesn't matter. So whatever it suits you, you use it. So the reason why I have covered a different ways, there are other ways as well. Still, I haven't thought about contains or start with, or there are some other niche things that I didn't covered with. But yeah, in those cases, whatever that suits you, you'll get used to it. Don't worry about it, you'll get used to it. Once you start doing some assignments and stuff, you'll get used to it. So don't worry about it.
Okay.
Okay, and yeah, like, since you have asked, I actually forgot to mention about one thing, that is contains. Okay, so here if you notice, the attribute value is exactly we are trying to match to the particular value. That equals means it will exactly try to match. Okay, same way, but sometimes it's not exactly matching. Sometimes you also don't need to be exactly matching. Sometimes you want that to be like a contains, whether it is containing that's okay. At that time, how can I write this? Okay, so again you have this is the attribute, right? So the contain syntax is very simple. So you have to mention contains, open your round brackets, close the round brackets instead of equal to, because this is not an equal to, right? We are going to check whether it is containing. So I am adding a contains, opening the round brackets, closing the round brackets, remove the equals because equals is not needed, and I've added comma in there. So what it do? Hey, look for an element that contains this particular attribute value, right? So let's do it. Unless we do it, it's really hard. So let's try to find the login button. So slash slash input. Okay, so again it went back somewhere, so you just need to right click this, click on inspect, so it takes you here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a login with an ID. So today it is button login, tomorrow it can be just login, or tomorrow it can be abcd login. Okay, so this is a lot of chances that it can change like this. So how will you do this? Find it. Okay, at the rate input is fine, but there are a lot of inputs, so I need to add additional parameters. At the rate id equal to abcd login, that's okay. It's now finding it well, but tomorrow, okay, it's not going to be the same, so it's going to be button login. So in this cases, you can just move all this thing, put contains, open the brackets, okay, close the brackets, at the rate id, and then what's the id is login. So today if it is abcd login, you can edit. Tomorrow if it is button login, it will still work because we are just validating whether the id is containing the login. Okay, so that's something that you can do as well. Okay, so this is how you can use it. So now I have an assignment for you guys. Okay, so that's gonna help you to basically get started with your locators. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to open your amazon.in, and in the amazon.in you have to click on this particular hamburger menu. Okay, you need to basically click on this mobiles and computers, and in this mobiles and computers you may also go to laptops, and in laptops you also want to click on this apple checkbox, and yeah, you also want to click on this. You want to sort it from high to low. Okay, so you can, and then you can just click on the first computer that is getting clicked here. So maybe you can click on this. Okay, or you can click on the price or wherever you want. So I want to click you on the first laptop that is displayed on the top. Okay, so all this, okay, try to use different things. Okay, for example, this one, hamburger menu, there is, you can use either id here. Okay, so first time when you're writing the XPaths, or locators, try to use these things. But you know next time, for everything, try to use an XPath. Okay, even though if there is an id, try to create an XPath with the id. For example, okay, you have an id that is uniquely, so you can use by.id. instead of that, you can also use slash slash a at the rate id equal to this. Okay, so that you find this. Okay, so based upon XPath you find it. For everything, use an XPath. Don't use any other thing. Okay, that's just to make sure that you are learning XPath. That's the only intention. Okay, if there is an id in real world and real projects, we will use id directly. Okay, we're not going to make our life complex by writing XPaths. Okay, but I'm very sure, guys, once you start loving writing XPaths, you will love them, right? So you'll get used to it. There are tools available to find XPaths for you, but don't use those tools. Okay, if you're working in a banking or insurance project, they might not allow those tools. Okay, so always try to write your own XPaths, and it's the only happiness that you will get in terms of automation. Okay, so that's really good. Good. That's all from my side. If you guys have any doubts, let me know. You have 2 days to complete the assignments. Once you're done with the assignments, you can send the snippet, or you can send the video of your code getting executed in the WhatsApp group, so that I would be love to see how this works and help you out if there is any issues. Any doubts?